Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the iBUG Buzz number 537 for June 6th. I'm sorry. Yes, is it June? I don't even know. It's June, yes, 6th of 2022.
D-Day. Yes.
It is. Wow. Yes. And where is the time going? I cannot believe we're in June already. So I am Maria and I will be facilitating tonight along with Sandhya. This is an open forum for anyone with questions or issues with their iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, Apple Watch, or Apple TV. For anyone who would like to become more proficient in using the accessibility features of these devices, we emphasize use of voiceover here. So welcome to everyone who's joined in tonight and those who are listening via the recorded podcast playback. So yes, this meeting is being recorded and we have a few rules that we kindly ask everyone to follow to help keep the meeting running smoothly. So first, we ask that everyone stay on mute when not speaking, again, to ensure the highest quality possible of the call. And when you do want to ask or answer a question, you can unmute and then say your name and wait to be acknowledged by one of the facilitators. So again, that's myself, Maria, or Sandhya tonight. So we do not use the raise hand feature of Zoom, to be absolutely clear. And please don't just speak out or make any kind of exclamations while others are speaking. It's quite distracting, and so please just wait for so announce yourself and wait until there's a bit of a wait until there is a bit of a break in the conversation before you announce yourself. We also are asking that once you've asked or answered a question, to please give other participants a chance to do so, to ask or answer, so that everyone gets a chance to participate. Just meaning, if there are a bunch of people, just to wait a bit before asking your next question, if there are lots of people asking. And importantly, also, please minimize your background noise, so your phone's ringing and your people talking and your TVs and your clock chimes and any other kind of background noise. If we have to tell you twice that you have too much of it going on, we do have the right, we may have to remove you from the conference again, just to maintain the highest quality of the call as possible. So how to go about muting and unmuting. So in the Zoom app on an iPhone, and these are mute toggles. So the mute toggle is in the bottom left of the screen. On an iPad, it is at the top center of the screen. On a Windows PC, you're going to toggle with the Alt-A keyboard shortcut. On a Mac, it's Command-Shift-A. On the Mac and PC, you can also use the space bar as a push to talk. So meaning like with a walkie-talkie, you hold the space and then you are temporarily unmuted while you're holding it, and then you finish talking and you release the space bar and you're back to being muted. And on a phone, if you're dialing in, you're going to toggle mute with *6. So with with that, we are I'm going to turn it over first to Sandhya to tell you about about some of our many events. She's going to tell you about what's happening this week and how you can be connected with us so you can find out what is happening all the time. Sandhya.
All right. Thank you, Maria. Okay. Another busy week for iBUG. Okay. So today we're here at iBUG Buzz, and all times that I mentioned will be Central Time. So please adjust accordingly. Tomorrow we will have the Mac Buzz on Clubhouse from 5 to 6 p.m. on Clubhouse. And then we have the Vila Book Club. Looking forward to this book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, by Maya Angelou. That is apparently the right pronunciation. I didn't know that. And that is DB 57200. Also, and well, that one is about 9 hours, so get started now, put it on triple speed, and you'll be good to go. Okay, next Friday, iBUG Night at the Virtual Movies. come stay tuned for the big reveal at the top of the hour. So that will be an audio described movie. And then prior to the movie, we will have a social time, jokes, music, all kinds of good stuff. And hors d'oeuvres. It's a new thing now. We're going to have hors d'oeuvres. And then after the movie, we will have a discussion and some trivia. So that's Friday night at 8 p.m. And then on Sunday, iBUG Cafe, we've got a very popular topic that I think you guys are going to love, and that is Facebook. My goodness, there's lots to learn. So if you've ever wondered what people are doing on Facebook, or what do you want to join, or are there more things that you could be doing even though you already have joined? Come and check it out, and that will be 4 to 6 p.m. on the same Zoom conference line. And if I didn't say before, all of the Zoom conference line are on the same Zoom link, so it makes it easy. Social media, yes, how can you stay in touch with us with iBUG? We have a website, ibugtoday.org, ibugtoday.org is the best place to get all the information. Just check out the upcoming tab and you will get everything. You'll get email notifications. Well, you will get email notifications if you register, which is straightforward and free. So once you do that, then you are really good to go. We have a Twitter is at iBUG Today. All kinds of good stuff like the Apple WWDC event are being tweeted out as we going along. So all kinds of good stuff. So definitely subscribe or follow us on Twitter. Facebook.com/group/iBUG Today is another place to pose questions, ask or answer questions. So definitely be part of that group. And let's see, we have a mentoring program. This is a free program, 12 weeks of mentoring. If you are a beginner user on your iPhone, complete the application on our website under the training tab, and we will read that, evaluate it, and match you up with one of our amazing advanced users. If you need help and can't quite figure that out, we can also help you make other alternative arrangements. And that also is free, just in case you're wondering. And this is a great time to apply because we have cleared up our backlog. So if you know somebody that needs help or you yourself need help, definitely avail yourself of that opportunity. I think that's all, Maria. So hand it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Sandhya. So let's go around and introduce ourselves, our names, and where we are from. So I'm Maria in Albany, New York, and you can now unmute as I described earlier.
This is Herbie in Houston.
Welcome.
Janet from Colorado.
Terry from Arlington Heights.
Welcome.
Greg in Texas.
Hello.
Claudia
Marta from Texas.
All right.
Sorry, Marta from Austin, Texas.
All right. Thank both of you. Welcome, Claudia and Marta.
Ned from Texas.
Hello.
Tim in Chicago.
Welcome. Anyone else would like to say hello?
Jody in New Hampshire.
Marty, Salem, PA.
Okay, welcome, Jody and Marty.
Chanel in Houston.
Cal. Oops, sorry.
All right, Chanel and
Sorry.
Keith, welcome. Got you both.
This is Brad in Dallas.
Priscilla from Arlington.
All right, welcome, Brad and Priscilla.
Thank
Dan,
you.
Southern California.
Dan, welcome. All right. Anyone else?
Dana.
Houston.
All right, I caught Dana, and I don't know who else.
Suva.
Oh,
Suva
Suva,
from
welcome.
Houston.
Hi.
Hey.
Very good. Anyone else?
This is Sandhya in Houston.
Hello.
Thomas in Grand Junction.
Okay, welcome, Thomas. And I heard someone else start to.
Sorry. Elisa and Porter.
Oh, hello, welcome.
Dave from Gibson.
Welcome.
Michael, Southeast Texas.
All right, welcome, Mr. McCulloch. All right. Anyone else? All right. Very good. Well,
This is Helene with
Oh,
South
yes.
New York.
welcome. Hi, Helene. All right. Anyone else? All right, then. So before we get to our typical asking of questions, seeing as today is the first day of Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference, WWDC, and there was a keynote, as is tradition, to kick this off, announcing new features in the Apple's various software platforms. They did talk hardware-wise about the Mac as well, but that is outside the scope of this call. So we're going to, go ahead, Sandhya.
Did we want to go and introduce the new people that joined us? We had a couple.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Yes, we do have some new. Yes, if you are a first-time caller, can you say your name, please? Anyone who's joining us for the first time, and if you would like to share, we like to find out how you heard about us. If you'd like to share, of course, how you heard about us, what kind of iOS devices you have, and how long you've had them. Again, if you'd like to share.
And your social security number. Not to get too personal.
I'm Marta. I'm from Austin, Texas, and this is my first time. I have an iPhone SE 2020. I heard about iBUG. I have a friend who knows Nancy Stevenson, and she and some others purchased me an SE 2020, and they told me about Nancy, and so that's how I found out about iBUG. And I'm currently in the mentoring program and loving it.
Very good. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you, and it's great that we're as other members are referring people. So absolutely continue to do that, everyone, if you know someone who could benefit. So wonderful. Well, welcome, Marta. So, all right. Anyone else first-time caller? All right. Oh,
This is Tim Paul, and this is my first time calling in
all
to the
right.
Monday night.
Welcome, Tim.
Yeah.
Very good. And so how did you hear about, if you'd like to share, of course, how did you hear about iBUG, and what kind of iOS devices do you have?
I have an iBug. I have an iPhone 7,
All right.
and I just started in the mentoring program.
All right.
And I heard about iBug from a friend, and I've been enjoying the movies on Friday nights, and also the book club. So, but this is I just started the mentoring program, and now I'm starting to call in on Monday night. So
very good. Well, welcome, Tim. Glad to have you too. Glad to have both of you in the mentoring program as well, and joining the calls. That's what it's all about. Certainly for continuing to have support even after the mentoring program, and as your skill level grows and your confidence grows. So wonderful. All right. Anyone else? First time caller. All right. Well, hearing none. Now we will get into, as I mentioned, a brief preview of what was announced today in terms of new features of iOS 16. As I said, there were some other items mentioned as well, but I'll focus on iOS 16. So in terms of what's being highlighted, Apple is really pushing the fact that there's a very significant lock screen functionality redesign in this iOS version. So there's a gallery of different lock screens that you can pick for inspiration, of different types of photos and different types of information that you're able to see at a glance on your lock screen. You can switch your lock screen throughout the day. You can customize the lock screen, so not only by visual appearance, but in terms of different elements that you can have on your screen. So for instance, you can choose to have widgets on your screen. So those are these quick little bits of glanceable information. We've talked about widgets in the past in terms of the home screens and such, things like being able to see your upcoming calendar appointments, the weather conditions and such, and now you'll be able to see those on the lock screen as well. And there are different photo related features that you can choose related to the lock screen, being able to iOS will intelligently suggest photos, and you can have different photos and such. So for those of you who have some vision, that might be useful to you. And there is an application programming interface for developers, so they will be able to hopefully take advantage of this widget on lock screen capability to add some unique things that you can put onto your lock screen or screens. They mentioned live activities, which are a way to keep staying on top of real-time events, things like sports games and Uber rides, for example, they mentioned. And again, there's an API here so that developers can build in support for those live activities on your lock screen. Lock screens are also able to be integrated now with Focus. So Focus is the feature that was introduced with iOS 15, where you can set up different types of focuses where notifications are silenced, and you can allow notifications from certain people or apps only, and you can set the focus to activate based on an app that you open or a location you're in or a scheduled time and such. And so now the iOS is going to suggest relevant lock screens for certain focus options. So like they're saying a data-rich lock screen while you're using the work focus, or a photo one while you're using the personal focus. And there are going to be different app lock screens that are designed for iOS 16, different collections. So they're saying like to celebrate special cultural moments, for example, astronomy, a weather one, emoji, different colors and such. And also live, there's going to be now playing controls. Those are going to be on the lock screen as well, and can be expanded to a full screen view. As seems to happen with every iOS version of late, there are also again going to be some redesigns to notifications, visually speaking, and also they're going to animate in terms of rolling up from the bottom of the lock screen. So hopefully that won't disrupt things too much for those of you with low vision. And you'll be able to view the notifications in an expanded list view, a stacked view, or a count view on the lock screen. So again, lots of stuff related to lock screen redesigns. As I mentioned, you can connect the lock screens to Focus as well. In terms of Focus, iOS is also going to, in iOS 16, suggest some home screen pages with apps and widgets that are most relevant to the focus that you're setting. And you can set some boundaries now within Focus. Like you can set it to choose only certain tabs to show up in Safari while you're in the work focus, or you can hide your work calendar when you're using the personal focus. And again, this is something that developers are able to customize. And as I mentioned, you can now have focuses to turn on. So the scheduling aspect has been expanded, so you can have focuses turn on automatically at a set time or location, or while using a certain app. In terms of there are other items as well related to focus setup, but I'm going to switch now to another feature, which is the iCloud shared photo library. So you're now able to share a photo library, which is a separate library with 5 other people, and you can specify which photos are in this library. iOS is going to share some suggestions of what you can share, and everyone with whom this library is shared is able to collaborate. So you can the shared group can add or edit, favorite, caption, and delete photos. And there are also shared photos and things like memories and the photos widget. Now, on messages, you can edit a message now for up to 15 minutes after sending it. You can undo the sending of a message for up to 15 minutes. You can mark a message now as unread when you don't have time to respond, but you want to be sure to reply to it later. You can recover recently deleted messages. You can also share activities. So this is using share play, so things like movies, music, workouts while you're chatting in messages. And again, there's a shared with you API, so developers can build some of this functionality into their app. Then in terms of collaboration, Apple did emphasize this. So for example, you can send the invite to collaborate on some kind of project in messages, and then everyone on the thread is added to whatever the item is that's being collaborated with. And they mentioned this is compatible with different Apple apps, files, keynote numbers, pages, notes, reminders, Safari, and then it says as well as third-party apps, but I don't know what those apps are. And again, it's real-time collaboration. So if someone makes an edit, you can see the updates at the top of the message thread, and you can double tap them to get into the collaboration. And again, there's an API for developers to add more functionality here. In terms of mail, they've done a lot of improving on the search. So when you're searching for mail, AI is going to do things like correct typos or use synonyms for your search to help you find what you're looking for and provide suggestions immediately as soon as you start typing for messages. It's going to email... When you're sending an email, the mail app is going to notify you if you've forgotten to include an attachment or a recipient. You can undo the send. So I believe this is for 10 seconds. You can unsend an email message that you just sent for up to 10 seconds after you have sent it. You can also schedule a send, so for your email to send at a later time. There's a follow-up function so that you can move messages that you need to follow up with at the top of your inbox. And there's also a reminder function in mail to remind you, for example, that you haven't gotten to an email that you again want to go back to message, so it'll resurface at the top of your inbox. And there are in terms of Safari, again, the sharing, you can share tab groups with friends, and so that again in real-time collaboration, people can add to those groups and see updates for them in real time. You can pin some tabs to those tab groups. There are, in case you haven't gotten enough of notifications, now later in 2023, there's going to be the ability for websites to prompt you to opt in for notifications on their websites as well. In terms of, and I'm just highlighting, there are definitely many more features. So there is there are more features under each of these items. I'm just trying to do some highlighting here. There is something called passkeys that Apple has highlighted, and they're imagining this as kind of a way to replace passwords as an easier or a safer sign-in method that's safe from phishing and website leaks, because it's like encrypted. They are saying that this works outside of Apple devices, and that you'll be able to scan the QR code, scan a QR code with your iPhone or iPad, and then use Face ID or Touch ID as available to authenticate using this pass key when you're being asked to sign in instead of a password. So now there's live text. This might especially be helpful for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. So there's now live text in videos. So if you pause the video, that means that, similar to how you can use detect text now with images, once you pause the video, you'll be able to do that kind of thing, detect the text in that frame, so that, and then you can copy and paste it, look it up, translate it, etc. So this works in different apps, Photos, Safari, other apps. there is let's see, and there's some language improvements there, additional languages supported for this. With Siri, you're able to run shortcuts now. As soon as you download an app, you don't have to set them up anymore. You can automatically send messages, skipping the confirmation step. You can do things like with Siri, like inserting emoji. You can ask what you can do in a given situation. Now you can hang up a call with Siri, and more types of content is supported offline. On dictation, there's you can now move fluidly between voice and touch, so that your keyboard is going to be visible as you are dictating, so that you can continue to type and move your cursor and such. And also now dictation is supposed to be able to tell, based on how you're dictating, to it's supposed to be able to automatically be able to insert commas, periods, and question marks as you dictate. You can now insert emoji using dictation. You can let's see, you can there's a apologies. There's gonna be a bit of a like, I don't know how this is gonna look in voiceover, but apparently there's a little bit of a new, it's called a dictation popover, and that's just another way that it's gonna look now when you're dictating. I guess this popover is gonna come up, so it'll be interesting to see how that translates to voiceover. In maps, we have multi-stop routing. There's support for transit cards in maps, and that includes things like seeing when your balance is low, seeing how much a fare will cost. Of course, this depends on, there being support for your transit system. And Apple Pay, you're able to now do an Apple Pay, a pay later. You can split the purchase into 4 equal payments over 6 weeks. You can share your keys. In terms of home, they've redesigned the home app. For example, there are now some categories that you're able to choose from. There's a camera view. Coming in, there are new widgets on the lock screen to allow you to see the status of your home. And coming later this year, there's a new standard called Matter, Matter, smart home connectivity standard, that Apple is working with other manufacturers on to enable compatible accessories to work together across platforms. So basically enabling you to pick from more accessories for your smart home. In health, you can track your medications. This is a big thing. So you can enter info about them or add them using your phone's camera. You can have reminders to take your medication. You can log your meds. You can learn more about your medications, and for things like, as well, medical interactions. Like, you can be told if some medication you're taking might not interact well with like another medication that you're taking, or might have some undesirable side effect. And you can invite, again, collaboration. You can send an invite to your family and friends, your loved ones, basically, to share that health data securely with you about the medications if you're assisting someone to manage those. The fitness app is going to be now available on the iPhone, so it's not just on the Apple Watch. There are some improved family sharing features, such as a checklist to help you make adjustments as your as children get older. There are CarPlay improvements that I won't go into too much. There's a safety check to help you manage who has access to your password. So they highlighted this, like if someone was had an abusive partner, and as they were leaving, to more quickly disable that person's access to their device. There are just lots of other just accessibility. I think we've discussed this before. There were accessibility items that were announced for Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and those announcements are pretty much copied over. And there are some other things, like in books, they mentioned there are some new themes and such for being able to customize visually what that looks like. I think, in terms of there definitely, as I mentioned, there are definitely other things as well. But I think in terms of just some of the highlights, those are some of the more substantial features that are going to be new on the iPad. Again, taking advantage of like the larger screen, they're adding things like the Stage Manager for the ability to move your windows around, overlap them, resize them, only have group certain apps to show together, and then you can switch between those groups, again, like improving your productivity. They are having features in files, like, for example, the ability to see the size of folders, the ability to change the extensions of files, and there's something they mentioned about being able to have apps that are classified as desktop class apps. So again, just kind of some of these features to take advantage of kind of the iPad's positioning as between sort of the kind of the best of like iOS and macOS. What is interesting though, for example, the Quick Notes feature that was announced with iOS 15 that was only available on iPad in terms of creating a quick note, that feature has come to iOS. So who knows, maybe some of this stuff is going to be, coming as well to from iPadOS to iOS down the line. Oh, and I just wanted to mention too, later on, there's going to be this app called Freeform that's going to be released, and again, that's very collaboration heavy, kind of the description almost reminds me kind of OneNote, if kind of this whole like blank canvas and the emphasis on just being able to take down your ideas as you have them. So with that, if anyone has any major omissions, errors, or anything that I made, feel free to add things in. Otherwise, we can open this up for discussion if anyone has any questions or comments or thoughts.
Well, this is Herbie.
Go ahead, Herbie.
Just one other thing that I think is important, and because I think I'm a little bit unclear right now if it'll affect iPad users or not. It's definitely going to help Mac users, but just two quick things. There's going to be some handoff abilities with the phone, such as being able to use your phone as a webcam, and if this works with iPad too, that'll be good, being able to transfer FaceTime calls from one device to another. So just a couple of interesting little things there.
Yes, absolutely. All right, very good. All right, anyone else have any questions, thoughts?
This is Marta, and my question
Okay,
is,
go ahead, Marta.
Did they say when iOS 16 is coming out?
So they said, the developer betas are open from today. The public betas will be coming out next month. And then what they said for general public use, they said the fall. Typically it ends up being like late September-ish, the time. But what they officially said at this point for public use, they just said fall in terms of the season.
I'm new to Apple, so I don't know a lot of that stuff. I don't know much, in fact.
Oh yeah, no worries at all. yeah.
I hope nothing I ask is too basic for anyone, but
absolutely not. The only silly questions are the ones you don't ask. You never know if someone else is wondering as well. So thanks for asking.
Then may I ask how I would find these different focuses? How do I do that?
All right.
Like, how do I figure out what the work focus and the personal focus and all? I don't understand anything about that.
Sure. All right. Who would like to talk about focuses and where you find them?
This is Shri.
Go ahead, Shri.
Just before that, one of the questions I wanted to ask, did they make an announcement of what devices will not be supported in iOS 16?
What devices will not be supported?
This is Brad.
Okay, go ahead, Brad.
I believe they said everything is iPhone 8 and forward.
Okay, thank you.
If you're still sporting an iPhone 7, it's time to move on.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Very good. All right. let's I'm gonna keep that focus question in mind, Morda, because I want to cover that. But before we go to that, does anyone else have any questions on the WWDC keynote announcements from today?
This is Terry.
Okay, go ahead, Terry.
A couple of times you mentioned that certain things are now available. Does that mean that in iOS 15 we can?
No, it is. I apologize. I should have clarified that. Yes, when I was saying something was now, I was saying now, and I meant to say like now in iOS 16 you're gonna be able to do. So no, none of what I just announced is available currently right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is Herbie.
All right, go ahead, Herbie.
Sorry, did you mention the devices that iOS 16 will be able to run on?
Well, if you'd like to, we mentioned which ones it won't be able to run on, which was anything below an iPhone 8. But if you want to go ahead and give some more details, go for it.
So iPhone 8 or no lower than, if you have an iPod Touch, I believe it's no lower than the 7th generation. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Oh, WatchOS 3 Series 3 that will not be able to run WatchOS 9. And I don't know the iPad hierarchy for what will or won't support iPad OS. So.
All right. And do we want to? I can pull it up very quickly. I haven't gotten a chance to actually look at it. Do you want to make any comment on Watch OS 9 since you just mentioned it for completeness on our coverage here?
Oh, Sandhya was going to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Before we move to that, could I just make one little quick? I read something about the unsending. I think that's like my most favorite feature that's coming. But the interesting note that I saw on that is that if it only works if both people have the iOS 16. So if you have 16 and your buddy doesn't, then it ain't gonna work. So it's
this is Herbie.
Okay, go ahead, Herbie.
Since I get messages from you, Sandhya, I am really tempted to stay on iOS 15 just for my own protection.
Anyway, I thought it was really interesting. All right.
Yeah, that's a good. Thank you for. That's a good. That's a big. Not a gotcha. Well, but sort of like a big requirement. So that's very good to know.
This is Nancy.
Okay, I think I heard Brad first, and then we'll go to Nancy.
Well, I was going to say they also mentioned that the recipient has to have not read the message yet. So I guess if you've opened the item in your messages app to that conversation, you have now read it, and it can't be withdrawn or changed or whatever the proper word is. So
all right.
Another consideration.
Indeed. All right. Well, and the whole thing is you have 10 seconds. So the whole thing is a very quick decision that you might not even be able to take if they've read it within 10 seconds.
Brad, I thought they said it was 15 minutes.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about messages or the mail?
Yeah.
Oh, messages.
Yeah, this is Herbie. I'm totally confused because earlier you said 15 minutes and I'm hearing 10 seconds.
So 15 minutes is for messages, like text messages, and the 10 seconds is for mail.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay.
Yes. So Sandhya, do you know
didn't
which?
mean to jump you. I just got totally confused.
Oh no, you're fine. So Sandhya, do you know which what you heard about the everyone needing to have 16? Was that for mail or messages or both? Do you know?
This was specifically to the messages. I didn't even know about the email portion.
Okay.
This is Shri.
Got it. All right. Go ahead, Shri.
Yeah, I think it's for both. From what I heard this afternoon, they said that it applies to the email also.
Okay. All right. Good to know. All right. And then
this is Ned.
All right. Once did we cover Nancy? Did we take
No.
you? No. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have an iPhone 7. So is it wise for me to make sure that it's on do not automatically upgrade so that or will it just not go to 16 if I stay on 15 whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Then it'll still work.
All right. Does anyone have
This is Herbie.
a thought on that? Okay, go ahead, Herbie.
So your phone won't upgrade because it can't upgrade to 16, but what you will get, and you didn't, and this is why you would not want to take it off automatic, is Apple for a while will still release, most likely release some patches for iOS 15. And so you don't want to miss out on those. That being said, it might be a really good idea to consider upgrading to a phone like an SE3 if you still have to have the home button that is also relatively cheap, but will be able to support the newer OS as well, and part of the bargain. But I would definitely not turn off the automatic updates because you still want the patches they're going to release for iOS 15 for security holes and that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
All right, very good. And yes, that is a feature they mentioned. I think they call it is it rapid security response or something, where they're able to push, as Herbie was just saying, those security patches between updates more quickly. All right, Ned, you are next.
Yes, regarding the messages, I also thought I heard about deleting a message, that you could delete a message. Is that the same thing as calling it back, or is that different?
This is Brad.
Right. Okay, go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, I don't know what they call it, but yes, they said as long you can modify, edit, or delete a message you send as long as the recipient hasn't opened it and read it. You can delete it or any of those things within the first 15 minutes. So.
All right.
Is it Dana?
Okay, go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, if someone wanted to listen to the WWDC, is it posted anywhere or where can it be found?
All right, who would like to take that one? How can we listen back to it? How can we watch it again?
That again. You can go to
Brad,
apple.com and it's usually right there on the website.
Okay.
Yes, Apple. And then also there's a podcast, what is it called? Like Apple Events or something? I've subscribed to it and I forget what it's called. But the audio gets pushed to those. So I have the audio in Castro, my podcasting app of choice, of the keynote that's waiting for me to listen to it at triple speed. So
This is Terry.
Okay, go ahead, Terry.
I think it's also available in the native Apple podcast feed as well.
All right, very good.
That comes on your phone when you get it.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I think that actually, that probably is the same one that I just added to. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. And I'm wondering, it's probably on their YouTube as well, I would imagine.
It is.
Yeah.
This is Herbie.
All right. Go ahead, Herbie.
It still should also be on the Apple TV app, though I imagine if your desire is to listen to it at triple speed, you are going to need the podcast method and the player that supports the speed control to listen to it at super speed, which, yeah.
Yes, which the podcast app does not. It only supports up to double speed.
Only double speed. Okay.
I know.
This is Shri.
Okay. Let's see. I think I heard Shri first. Shri, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's probably a lot of videos you can check on YouTube that just basically provides the overall summary of the big highlights of it if you don't want to listen to the whole thing.
Yes. And the ways, in case Dana, you were wondering, because there are these videos and stuff that go along with this, and in terms of there are described versions of those, and I think what is that? Is that only on the TV app that those can be heard? I forget.
On the web is the apple.com
Brad, go ahead.
version as well.
Oh, what?
If you go to apple.com and play it from there, you will get audio description, but keep in mind you have to have gone into accessibility on whatever device, your iPhone, your desktop thing that we don't talk about here, whatever, and have turned on audio description and accessibility. Okay. And then you'll get it automatically anytime it's available.
All right, very good. All right, I'd heard someone else when I heard Shri, and I don't know who that was. Was it Sandhya? I have no clue.
Claudia?
Oh, Claudia. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just checked on the native podcast app. It is available right now. The
All right.
WWDC on the Apple events.
All right, very good.
Just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. All right.
It's Kathy.
All right, go ahead, Kathy.
I just came on a little late. Are you only taking questions about the new Apple stuff? Because I have a sort of related podcast problem.
Oh, so yes, I think we're gonna kind of wrap up here in a second about the iOS discussion. I want to just quickly go through the Watch OS 9 in just a couple of minutes, and then we're gonna go back to general questions. So hold your podcast question. Thank you. I'm gonna take a there was a question asked earlier about focus and setting that up. We're gonna cover that one first, and then we can then take your questions. So. All right, so let me very quickly then just mention on Watch OS 9 some of the things there are. One second here, my Braille display mode. All right, there we go. There's something about regarding workouts. There's a new workout view to show you more things while you're working out, so you can turn the digital crown to see different items more readily as you're doing a workout. There are these heart rate zones to give you a sense of your intensity level. So there are apparently these zones are personalized using your health data, or you can customize them. So this is to give you a sense of where your heartbeat is. You can customize your workouts in terms of tailoring things like recovery intervals and work intervals. You can receive alerts on your pace, heart rate, cadence, and power. So basically in terms of lots more customizing workouts to your preferences. You'll get feedback on whether you're on pace to meet your goals and how you need to pace in order to get to them. In terms of outdoor workouts, you can choose to race against your last or best result and receive updates to help you achieve a better outcome. You can add things like stride length and ground contact time and vertical oscillation to your workout views. Again, just allowing you to see more things at once and to customize the workouts a lot. There are some in terms of and again, those medication items, reminders for your meds, logging your meds, you can do that from the watch. In terms of sleep, you can now see how much time you spend. This is for sleep tracking, how much time you spend in REM, core, or deep sleep, as well as when you might have woken up. So more detailed, and you can track that over time. So there are some comparison charts as well to help you see things like heart rate and respiratory rate over time. There are some new watch faces there, and some that have some visual. There's an astronomy one, there's a metropolitan one, there's a lunar face for that celebrates some calendars, that highlights some calendars, certain ones that use phases of the moon. So they're the Chinese, a Hebrew, and an Islamic calendar, excuse me. Then in terms of, let's see here, other faces supporting more complications as well. An AFib history. So if you're having AFib, like the heart condition, you can track the time that your heart shows signs of that. And this is if you've been diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. So that is useful. In terms of, let's see, and you can see how your lifestyle may affect AFib in the health app as well. Again, some of these family setup improvements. Let's see. And then again, there's some accessibility here, options like the Apple Watch mirroring, which was designed so you can operate the watch on your phone, I believe it. Yes, from your iPhone. You can control it from the iPhone. This was mentioned again on the Global Accessibility Awareness Day. So there are, let's see here, there are notification banners have been changed to when you're using it to be like more out of the way banners versus full screen when you're hand is down, and apps running in the background are prioritized over the rest of the apps in the dock, so you can more quickly return to them. And you can now add events directly in the calendar from your watch, and you can navigate to specific days or weeks. More languages on the keyboard. There are some new Fitness Plus features, and so that is just very quickly. Again, there are some things I did not mention, but those are some highlights of watchOS 9 as well. So. All right, I think with that, we will switch over into our more general questions. So we'll start off going back to Marta's question on focuses. So would anyone like to tell us where you can find the focuses to set them up?
This is Chanel.
All right, go ahead, Chanel.
All right, so there's just a ton you can do with focus and stuff I didn't even realize you could do that I heard about hearing people talk about iOS, the WWDC stuff. But basically where you want to go is you want to go to your settings app, and then there's actually a button in settings called focus, and that'll allow you to not only choose the different ones that are there, but you can even create your own focus. I don't know what else would be helpful, like how to create one, or did you just want to know where they were, or what else would be helpful?
Yeah, so I think Marta was just asking. Go ahead, Marta. Yep.
This is Marta. I was just going to answer her. That's all. This is Marta. I didn't know what focus was, and so I was wondering what kind of things they had in the different focuses. But if it's in settings, I can just open settings and find the focus and open that and figure it out. You
This
don't
is
have to tell
Chanel.
me everything.
All right. Go ahead, Chanel.
Sorry, Marta, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That's
Focus
okay.
is just so cool because it'll allow you to basically, if you, let's say, if you're working, or if you're sleeping, or if you're, doing some other types of tasks, you can set focus so that apps don't bother you. You don't get phone calls, or maybe you want to allow certain apps in, or only certain people to be able to disturb you or something. You can customize a lot of that with focus. You can control what apps focus can automatically turn on, whether you're using a particular app or if you're at a particular location. So there's tons and tons and tons of stuff you can customize there.
So do you just turn the different focuses on at different times? Like, I'm not sure. Do you set a certain kind of focus, and then if you want to change it to have different apps at different times, you would set a different focus to do that?
All right. Would anyone like to? How can you set focuses to trigger? All right.
This is
Go
Chanel.
ahead.
I guess I just
Yeah, go ahead, Chanel. I'm
monopolizing
gonna jump into
it's
what
like,
you- yeah, go-
okay,
go for it.
So yeah, you can turn them on at different times if you want, or you can just have a focus that automatically comes on a particular time of day, or you could have like something that comes on, it puts your phone in like a do not disturb mode if you launch a certain app. I don't know, I'm not just explaining it very well, so I was kind of hoping somebody else could explain a little
This
bit
is
better.
No worries. Who just said?
This is David.
Oh, David, go ahead.
Yeah, well, the original thing was called Do Not Disturb. That's all you had. It's just one setting, and you could have it like come on, say at 10 when you go to bed, and then like whenever you get in the morning, 10 to 6 or 10 to 8, whatever. You could define on and off, and it was meant to just silence, most of your notifications, pretty much silence all your notifications, and then it would let through people, I think, on your contact list if they called several times in a row, like an emergency type thing. And that's still there. You can still use Do Not Disturb, like just to keep your phone quiet while you're sleeping. That's just the most basic, but they expanded this focus. So now you, like Chanel say, you can create your own, or there's some predefined ones in there, I believe, like work and can't remember the other ones.
There's
but
like a
you can do-
reading. There's like a reading
Yeah,
one
you can set
too,
one
and
up.
a
Say like you're reading an ebook or something. You don't want notifications to pop up and then disturb your voiceover, and then it takes the focus away from your voiceover, and then you got to start over, stuff like that, or watching a movie, or like that.
Yeah.
You can set up multiple focuses or foci or whatever we call them, and then you can also define when you want those to turn on, or just turn them on manually when you're ready, and then turn them off.
Yeah, and you can have them turn on like when you open a specific app or group of apps, or you can have them turn on like when you're in a specific location, or like as David said, based on time as well. So they're really powerful. And now, when iOS 16 comes out, you'll be able to, like lock screens and home screens and such can be linked to them. I would suggest I cannot remember there's a podcast called Mosen at Large, and if you go to, oh my gosh, is it mushroomfm.com/Mosen at Large, or is it mosen.org/Mosen at Large? But which I will find out in a second. But when you go to it, if you do a search for something like iOS Focus, there's an episode where Jonathan, the host, he does a very detailed walkthrough of the Focus feature, and so that is definitely a resource that I would recommend. It's mosen.org, and then you go to the Mosen at Large podcast, and I believe you're able to do a search. I'm trying to do this in real time, but I know he has done a detailed and I think on Apple Viz as well, APPLE VIS. Yeah, that's a website as well. If you do a search there for Focus, hopefully, I believe they have covered it as well when iOS was released. So iOS 15, excuse me, was released. All right.
This is Marta.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I can check both Apple Viz and the Mosen at Large thing. I can check those both out. Because I have a desktop machine, which we won't name, but I can do that.
Yes. All right. Yes.
Thank you.
Very
this
good.
Is Shri.
So yeah, I would definitely suggest, because he goes into a good amount of detail. And Shri, I believe, go ahead. Did we cover it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you can also check out the iBUG Today's podcast, because we've done a lot of segments on Focus. So, just if you go to our website and just search on our podcast and just type in Focus, I'm sure you'll find tidbits on how that works.
Brad.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, Brad, and then we'll move forward.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You can find the Mosen at Large by just searching in the podcast application of your choice, searching for either the podcast name or just search for Jonathan Mosen, and you'll find it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, I was trying to quickly find which episode had the focus and not able to quickly enough. But yes, you can find the podcast in any of your favorite podcast apps of choice. Go ahead, Marty. Was it on Focus or another question?
It was on back when you did your WWDC thing.
Okay.
Did they mention what phones it would not support, or would it start with? Would it include the 8 or the 7? Did they indicate how far back they would go?
Yes. Yep. We did mention briefly. It's going to start with the 8.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Yep. You're welcome. All right. So I think we're going to shift now. Kathy, if you're still on, I believe you had a podcast question. Or actually, I'm checking the time and it's running away from me. So let me, I don't think we'll be able to cover it in 2 minutes. Do we want to, Sandhya, would you like to take over for our halftime here, and then we can come back to that podcast question once we've done our halftime show?
Absolutely. Yes.
Lovely.
Okay. Well, thank you, Maria. My goodness, covered a lot of information, and WWDC was very exciting, so I can't wait to go back and listen to it. All right, thanks for that summary. And now we will ask anybody who didn't get to say hello the first time around, please say your name and where you're from.
Tree from Virginia.
Hey, welcome.
Sharon from New York.
Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you.
Kathy from Tulsa.
Kathy, welcome.
Oh, it's Jake from Michigan.
Hey, Jake and Mo, welcome, both of you.
Thank you. This is Joe from Norman.
Hey, Joe, welcome back.
Linda Lake Conrad.
Linda, welcome. Anybody else? Didn't get to say hi the first time? Okay. All right. With that, so I guess we kind of all know what's going to happen now, right? We're going to have somebody come and give us some very perplexing, frustrating clues, and then we're going to try to guess what the movie is. So we kind of know that, right? So with those lovely, frustrating clues is the iBUG guy, I think.
Yeah, hopefully let's see. I thought I had seen earlier about screen sharing, so I don't know.
Yeah, he's here and he is screen sharing.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. iBUG guy, ready to go?
Yes.
Oh, you sound so lovely to see you. All right, what's going on?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. What you got?
What happened? All right, we are going to do the clues for the movie for this Friday at 8 p.m. iBUG Night at the Virtual Movies. 7:30 for the pre-movie social, and afterwards we always have discussion and fun trivia. So join us right here on this very same Zoom line. So let's get ready for Marco.
It just cracks me up.
All right. So the rules are, if you remember the rules, they're the same as last week and the week before. So one guess per clue, 5 guesses for the whole game. And say your name. Don't just yell out the title of the movie if you think you know it. And I will recognize you, then you may guess. So let's get ready.
Terry.
No, you can't. What, Terry? Go ahead.
Is iOS 16 going to fix the squeaky sounds that happen on my phone every Monday at 8 o'clock?
Oh, yeah, it should. Turn it up really loud and it fixes it. All right, here we go. Clue number 1. Our film this week is set in Terry, the Windy City.
Ooh, Chicago.
This is Shree.
Shree. Go ahead.
Capone.
Ooh. How did you ever get not right?
Dana.
Go ahead, Dana.
The Blues Brothers.
The Blues Brothers. Both of you are right in the same period, but no, actually, you're not in the same period. Brad.
Risky Business.
Risky Business. What's that about?
Oh, it's monkey business.
Monkey Business.
I can't sum it up.
That was Gary Hart's boat. Never mind.
Okay. Obviously, it's not correct. Any more guesses before we move on? Clue number 1.
Is Tim?
Tim.
Not The Fugitive.
The Fugitive. Oh, Tim, man, that's your first guess, and that's the first wrong guess you've made tonight. Thank you.
But this is Sandhya. just remember, we only talk about movies that we have not seen. So you got to think of your movie history with iBUG also. All right.
This
go
is
ahead.
Herbie.
People that never been. Go ahead, Herbie.
All right. How about the movie Chicago?
The movie Chicago. We thought about that one, but ding, 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 wrong.
Oh, you didn't really know how to build a guy's confidence.
All right, here we go. Clue number 2. It's a crime movie concerned with, no. It's a crime movie more concerned with humor and character rather than blood and gore.
What kind of crime movie is that?
This is Ned.
Ned.
The Elliot Ness story.
The Elliot Ness story. That's pretty shoot 'em up.
I know.
Okay, Ned, good try. Maybe the Elliot Ness story from 1940.
All right.
All right, here we go. Any more guesses for clue number 2? A crime movie more concerned with humor and character rather than blood and gore. All right, moving on. Clue number 3. This may give it away.
Uh-oh.
We see the big guys with the muscle somehow always losing to the guys with the brains. Brains over brawn. Is that the phrase?
Yes. Age before beauty.
Brains over brawn. We see the big guys with the muscle somehow always losing to the guys with the brains.
That was going to give
This is
it
Shri.
away. Oh, Shri.
Uh-oh, Shri.
Is it the wrestler?
The wrestler, Shri. That is a...
What?
Sorry, Shri, good try. You are now eliminated from this round.
Wait, that was only my third guess. Second guess.
From that round. Okay, go on.
Oh.
Right. Moving on to clue number 4.
All right, 4.
All right, this for sure will give it away.
I hope so.
The main characters make, ooh, what's this word? Oh, you call me this. Enigmatic statements under their breath and stay at least one step ahead of us. Us? We're not in the movie, but anyway.
Okay, that just reminds me of Sandhya stage whispering to you whenever you miss an announcement.
Can you repeat that clue?
Yeah, repeat the clue.
Clue number 4. The main characters make enigmatic statements under their breath and stay at least one step ahead of us. Oh, I thought for sure that was going to give it away.
A little too enigmatic, Mr. McCulloch, I think.
All right. We may stump them then this time. This is our 5th and final clue.
Okay.
The director maintains a kind of off-balance pacing so that we can never quite pin down the main character's confidence. Wow, I thought for sure that was going to get
They're getting more enigmatic each time.
But
Is it clue 6?
I didn't read the with emphasis. The director maintains a kind of off-balance pacing we can never quite pin down, so that we can never quite pin down the main character's confidence.
Could you say that in poor man's English, please?
That's the clue.
I don't know what it means.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does. All right.
The movie is made so that the main characters, you don't know their confidence. Confidence. Okay. All right. One last clue. This for sure will give it away.
Clue 5.5. Okay.
All right. Clue 5.2.
5.
In this movie, which is rated PG and is 2 hours and 7 minutes, it won 7 Oscars and stars Paul Newman and Robert Redford.
This is Ned.
Oh, Ned's got it. I know he's got it. 2 weeks in a row, Ned.
Is this The Sting?
The Sting. Oh, Ned, you almost got it again. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, Ned's got it. He's exactly right. The confidence game played by the Sting brothers. Somebody sing the entertainer. Who knows the entertainer?
Scott Joplin.
All right. Johnny, what do we have for our winner tonight?
All right.
Miss my dinner. It's good.
All right, here we go. Ned, I don't know how to tell you this, but you have horses in your future and don't think they're under a hood, okay? The Arabian horse, you are going to have 2 black Arabian horses. The Arabian horse is one of the oldest and most popular horse breeds. People can recognize it based on its facial structure and wonderful carriage. Okay, so you can have a dancing horse. These horses trace their bloodline back thousands of years, and they are known for being very loyal to their owners. So there you go. And these horses can run up to $300,000 each. So enjoy your horses. And the first one is named Lady. The second one is named Bug. All right, there you go, Ned. Enjoy, and hopefully you have lots of hay and stuff on hand. Okay.
Congratulations to Ned. It's 2 weeks in a row.
It is? Was it?
Yes, he got the
Yes,
one
last week was King's Speech, the King's Speech,
Oh, yeah.
which I missed. Yeah.
Won the microphones. Okay, all right. Okay, here we go.
But you got the prize.
Yeah. All right. He's going to be doing his show. Oh, God. All right, Roxanne. Okay, Mr. McCullough, say goodnight. Well, I'm going to say goodnight for you. Here we go. Okay, thank you. That is the end of Michael's movie Minutia, and we are back to our regularly scheduled program. Oh my goodness. Okay, so with that, we're going to do our iBug Bite segment, which always follows our movie segment. Ms. Maria, are you there?
All right. Hello. So we are going to do this is a quick, 5-minute demo of a feature, and I think my iBug, my bite segment will actually be 5 minutes this time for the first time. I am going to talk about Wi-Fi calling and how you would set that up. So why would you want to have Wi-Fi calling? First of all, what is it? So Wi-Fi calling allows you to use your Wi-Fi signal to make regular cell phone calls, like I'm not talking about like WhatsApp or FaceTime or any of that. I'm talking like just actual regular calls that you generally make on a cellular network. And with Wi-Fi calling, you're able to use your Wi-Fi network instead of your cellular network to make the calls. Why you would want to do this is in situations where you have very weak or no cellular signal, but you are connected to a Wi-Fi network. So I can tell you at my parents' house, for instance, their location in relation to a cell tower, and also I believe it's like the metal on the roof or something, whether I'm using AT&T or Verizon, I do not have good signal at all at my parents' house. But of course I have Wi-Fi, and so with being able to turn Wi-Fi on, I'm able to use my phone, and without Wi-Fi calling, there's just no way that I would be able to have any kind of regular call on my iPhone when I'm visiting my folks. So it's definitely a feature that I found helpful, and I thought some of you might find it helpful as well. So in order to go into Wi-Fi calling and turn it on, you're going to go into settings that I have already opened, and we're going to go to the phone item of settings. So not cellular, but we're going to go to phone. So in my case, what we have before phone is voice memos. Voice memos. And if I just, again, you can do a search as well on your settings and type phone, but if you were just scrolling and flicking and such, phone is beneath voice. Phone messages. It's between. It's between
a little bit louder, maybe?
Oh, phone button. There you go. There, thank you. It's good. Between voice memos and messages. So if we go into phone button, allow phone to access. Heading. So we don't need to be here, and there are some other items here, but we can actually skip to it quickly to Wi-Fi calling by rotating to headings and going down to the calls heading. That's the second heading on the screen, and then we're going to flick to the right. Wi-Fi calling off button. So now you can tell it's off. I turned it off specifically for this. As I said, I usually have it on. So it's a button. So we can double tap. Wi-Fi calling on this iPhone off. And now this is a switch. I've turned my hints off, but it would tell you to double tap to turn it on. Before we do that, though, Apple does offer an explanation. So if we flick to the right. Make and receive calls over Wi-Fi with your AT&T account. Review your carrier's emergency calling information to understand the availability of emergency calling over Wi-Fi. About Wi-Fi calling and privacy. Link. And just a note, my carrier is AT&T, which is why it said that. If you're using a different carrier, it would say your carrier's name. So if we flick back to the left. Wi-Fi calling on this iPhone. Off. And double tap. Alert. Enable Wi-Fi calling. And I'm going to flick to the right to read this alert. When you join the network, the country where the network connection is made may be sent to your carrier, and your cellular identity may be sent to the Wi-Fi network operator. The city may be sent to the carrier for routing short code calls. This can be changed in settings. Cancel button. And flicking to the right. Enable button. A couple of times to enable. Wi-Fi calling requires an address to help emergency response services respond to calls. Review your carrier's emergency calling information to understand the availability of emergency calling over Wi-Fi. And that text automatically comes on the screen once you have enabled Wi-Fi calling, because typically if you were to call 911 over Wi-Fi calling, the 911 operator might not get your precise location. And so what you need to do... Wi-Fi calling requires an address to help update emergency address. Button. I flicked to the left and we landed on, I believe if you never had an address, I believe it might say add emergency address. I'm not 100% because mine says update, because of course I have one. And if I were to go into here, I'm not actually going to show you my address, but it's going to update. Cancel. Button. So I double tapped and I got taken to this other dialogue. And if I just touch like near the center of the screen to get change address. Here we go. We're now in this. Change address. Important information. Calling 911 only works within the U.S.,
Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
So,
Description.
so I'm flicking to the left actually because that change address was the last option on the screen. That's where I landed when I touched the center of the screen.
If you call 911 using Wi-Fi and emergency services can't locate you, they'll go to the address you enter here. This address can't be a P.O. box. Description.
So there you go. That's basically what I had said earlier, why you need to do this.
Change your emergency 911 address. Heading level 2.
So that's the heading. So that was, again, I was moving on the screen backwards. But so that was the first. And then if I move down here to the
change address.
And if I double tapped, it would take me. Oh.
Cancel. If you call not calling street address.
Okay. And so it didn't announce, but it did open the subsequent screen. Basically, it revealed address fields now, where the change address button was before, where that control was. So now there are just standard
apartments, city, state, zip code, verify address. Button.
And so you just follow this. It's their standard edit fields. You enter in your address, then you go to verify. It verifies it against post office addresses. If there's a discrepancy, like for example, if it finds those last 4 digits of your zip code and you didn't enter them here, you would get prompted which version of the address to use. And you would select it, and you just follow the prompts in order to update your address. And then you are all set to use Wi-Fi calling. And the way that you know that you're using Wi-Fi calling is that if your status bar up at the top is showing, let's see if I can.
920p, region tracking on cellular, 4 of 4 bars, signal strength.
So there you heard it say 4 bars, the signal strength, and cellular. It would say, in my case, it would say your carrier name and Wi-Fi on that item of your status bar. So like mine would say like 4 bars AT&T Wi-Fi, something like that, to let me know that it was using the Wi-Fi calling. But this is literally just for when you are working in an area where you have weak cell signal. If you come out of, apologies, I have my guide dog who wants to very determinedly sit under my desk. Okay, if you come out of an area, if you go out of there and you're back to a place with good cell signal again, the Wi-Fi calling will automatically stop being used. The feature will stay on. You don't have to turn it off ever if you don't want to, but it just will dynamically, be in use when it needs to be and stop when it doesn't need to be in use when your cell signal is strong enough. So that is Wi-Fi calling. If anyone has any questions about it, feel free.
This is Herbie.
All right, go ahead, Herbie.
Yeah, so you can easily find the Wi-Fi status in the lock screen, actually. So if you go to your, if you lock the screen and you go to the first window where it displays the time and stuff, and you touch at the top, it should say like AT&T Wi-Fi, or in my case, T-Mobile Wi-Fi, and that's usually how you know that the Wi-Fi calling is on.
And that's in the status bar.
In the status bar, yes.
Yeah. All right, very good.
This is Terry.
Go ahead, Terry.
Does it also work if you're out and about and you are with a carrier that allows you to use, the neighborhood or the hot spots that you might be in, because that particular carrier would have hot spots available? Would it work in those conditions as well? Do you know?
Like you're saying, if your specific carrier has you're not saying if you're connected to some out and about, you're saying like if the carrier itself has some Wi-Fi hotspots that in theory you'd automatically be connected to when you passed them?
Right. Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay. I do not know the answer to that off the top of my head. Herbie, go ahead if you have any info.
So I do have an answer for you, I think, Terry. So like, for instance, Comcast, we have Xfinity hotspots, and I have seen the Wi-Fi calling ability on those if I am fully connected to it. Now, one area where at least in the past, Wi-Fi calling will not work, though, is at my university, for instance. Even though I'm fully connected to Wi-Fi, they have that path blocked out. So there are some network Wi-Fis where you may not see it, but I've seen it at hotspots. I've seen it on like public Wi-Fi networks, like with hospitals and stuff, places like that. But so that has been my experience, at least.
And Herbie, like, you actually have to connect to them, right? Like you're saying, even
yes, you have to connect to the Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and so that is a caveat. You have to be connected,
Right.
But you will see the option there, and but like I said, for me at least, my university has definitely been the one exception where there was no Wi-Fi calling status whatsoever. So
how strange.
This is Helene.
But they have a few other things blocked off too, so yeah, there you go. Anyway.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead, Helene.
My question is in settings, is it the same thing when I swipe left to right and get to cellular? And if I keep swiping left to right, it'll say Wi-Fi calling, and then it will say on. Is that doing the same thing?
So you're talking about you're saying when you go into cellular in your settings?
Yes. Yes.
I'm gonna just try and quickly go
This
into
is
my
Brad.
I don't believe that okay, I think I heard Brad first.
I find it under both cellular and phone on mine. It's in two places, but it's the same thing. I mean,
yes,
I'm not sure if
you're
it's that way on all carriers, but I've had
Yes,
both Sprint and T-Mobile, and
Okay,
it's
yes,
been that
I
way.
am seeing it too actually now with AT&T. That is a new change. It used to be only in phone. Or go ahead, Keith.
I was thinking under cellular, you also have Wi-Fi assist, and they're definitely two different things.
Yes. But that is good to know because even like the Apple support article only directs you to the phone settings. So I don't know if that just hasn't been updated or if some carriers don't have it in both places. I don't know why that would be why they wouldn't mention both, but that is good to know that you likely have it in both places.
Thank you.
All right, very good. All right.
This is Sri.
Anyone else? Shri, go ahead.
Verizon has it in two places, so I'm going to assume it's probably in all the carriers then.
All right. So that likely, I'm guessing that maybe that Apple article just needs to be updated. I don't know, but that is good to know. All right.
This is Marty.
Okay, go ahead, Marty.
If I am right, and this wouldn't apply probably to any of us, but I had a problem when I first got it. It was on I had an iPhone 6 and I tried to enable it.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had to call AT&T because it was when they first offered it.
Mm-hmm.
And the iPhone 6 was the earliest phone that you could get it on.
Yeah.
And I actually, AT&T, I had to not reboot my phone. I had to restart it, and they had to send a code to my phone because when I enabled it, it said it was on, but it really wasn't enabled. I think it's better now, but that was maybe like 7 years ago or so.
Sure. No, that is good to know. My brother actually, and I don't even know how they solved this because I'm not using, when my parents and my brother, they switched over to Spectrum Mobile. So through Spectrum, the internet provider that we all have in this area. And so he actually had kind of a similar situation where he couldn't turn on Wi-Fi calling, and I don't know what it's obviously worked for him now because otherwise he wouldn't be able to use his phone as a cell phone at my parents. But I remember he was like on the call to or on the phone to like Spectrum support as well. So hopefully that's just a fluke. This was like a couple of years back now, so hopefully it's all resolved itself, but that is really good to know if anyone else experiences that.
Yeah, this is Marty. I actually had a problem. I called Apple and they told me to call the carrier. I called the carrier and they told me to call Apple. I finally, the third time I called AT&T, I spoke to a customer service person who knew exactly what to do, and he said, turn off your phone. I will send a code and then turn your phone back on. And it was good.
It worked. Excellent. That might have been something like my brother might have had something like that
probably
too. I don't remember. So that is really good to know. And so if your people don't know on at your carrier what's going on, you can make that suggestion that they're supposed to send a code, and hopefully they can research it. But hopefully that won't happen to you all.
This is
Thank
Herbie.
you for that.
All right, this is
All right, let me just make a quick comment. Just because I think Herbie, you had mentioned Wi-Fi assist, and I just wanted to mention, if people didn't know what that was, it's when your cell phone signal. When your Wi-Fi signal is weak, it's gonna switch over to cellular data with your carrier, so that you can do what you need to do, loading things or whatever it is that you're trying to do with your data connection.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Maria. That's a lot of information there. And we are going to try to save time for our regular questions. So that was all about the iBUG Bytes. So now we're going to go back to Kathy, who had a question about podcasts, I think. So we are here finally. So Kathy, would you like to tell us your question?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
go for
it. I happen to, well, this isn't part of this. I guess I'll just tell you the problem.
Okay.
I could tell you the long story, but
how about a short story?
So I was trying to listen to a podcast, iBUG podcast, on my Victor stream, and I am able to get the iBuzz podcasts, and they download fine. But I wanted the Mac Talk podcasts. And I like them on the Victor stream because then you can speed them up, with buttons, and you can pause and whatever. But it said, it gives me error 11, and it won't. I've tried downloading different ones, and I can't get any of them to download. And I don't know if it's a problem with the iBUG side or the Victor stream or what.
Okay, it's kind of a...
This is Marty.
Go ahead, Marty.
Kathy, you probably have to go into the, when you do a long one key and go into the user guide, they have a list of error codes, because that's a Victor thing, and you have to see what, and it will tell you what error code.
I did look it up.
Okay, it's
in like the last chapter, it's in one of the appendices.
Yeah, I did look it up, but I forgot what it said. It mustn't have said anything that was helpful.
Okay. Yeah. Don't know much about the Victor reader. I know it's good. I'm glad you're using it, but I don't know if we can really help you much on that right now, unless somebody.
I use one, but I
had more to do with. But my point is, it does download other podcasts. Okay, like I was able to download the iBUG Buzz.
Okay.
And but with the Mac Talk ones, and I think they're new, aren't they? Or have they always been up there?
They've been there pretty recent, like about 3 months or 2 months. So yeah. Okay, so we will check that out and let you know what's going on. Thank you.
This is Marty.
Go ahead, Marty.
I don't know if it's maybe like the format type. Like maybe is the Mac and Talk a different file format than the other one?
I don't think so. So we'll figure it out and get back to it. So I don't have any answer for you right now. Okay.
I'll check error 11. If it says anything helpful, I'll let you know.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kathy. Good question, and thanks for letting us know. Something doesn't work. We need to know. Okay, go ahead, Herbie.
Just real quick. So I was experimenting with the Mac and Talk podcast on Overcast just now, and it is definitely not playing. So it's something to do with the podcast feed and not the Victor reader. So
all right. Well, thank you, Herbie. All right, we will deal with that. Okay, thank you. All right, who's next? Somebody new, hasn't had a turn, wants to ask a question. Haven't had anybody.
This is Greg.
Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, is it possible to set up an iPhone without setting up a passcode?
All right, somebody who hasn't really had a turn, want to help answer that question? Setting up an iPhone without a passcode. We've had people that wanted to do that.
This is Helene.
Helene, go ahead.
Well, being a person who hasn't, had a passcode for a long, long time, and, I'm still hating it now that I have it, and it's driving me crazy. But bottom line is you can, but you will always get a little 1 in that circle next to your settings because it wants you to do it. So it'll keep reminding you. As long as you can deal with seeing the little red 1 in the settings, and it'll say you didn't set up encrypted data, and it will remind you, but you can use your phone without it.
All right. Thank you, Helene, for helping out. Great.
And this is Jody.
Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, I use my phone without a passcode, and you need the passcode, I think, to set to start it, but then you can just go into passcode and turn it off. But the other thing too is you don't, the two-factor authentication is different from your passcode. So, you still make it prompt. If you don't have two-factor authentication turned on, then that's a separate thing from passcode.
All right, thank you. And I will just remind people that, I know I didn't have passcode on for a long time, and then, I don't know, it's just think about how much information is on our phones, and that you wouldn't want that to get into other people's, banking,
Jody.
all kinds of stuff. So just in general, not lecturing anybody. Okay, go ahead, Jody, and then we're going to keep going. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I live in the country and my phone's either in my pocket or on the charger, so I'm not really worried about losing it. Thank you.
This is Marty.
All right, thank you, Jody. Go ahead, Marty.
Related to that, so if you choose not to have passcode, does that mean that you also can't have Face ID or Touch ID?
All right. You would like to.
Brad.
Brad, go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, that is correct. You have to have a passcode in order to then set up either Face ID or Touch ID. If you don't have a passcode, you also can't use wallet. You can't use password autofill and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Oh,
all right. Thank
This
you,
is
Brad.
Sri.
Go ahead, Sri.
So I'm just going to share the story that was in the news. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, where this lady went to Disney World, and she had her Apple Watch, didn't have a passcode. Someone found the watch, and they spent $40,000 during the time she was in Disney World.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Thank you, Sri, for that. That's a cautionary tale. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, Terry, and then we're moving on.
I just discovered the other day when I was trying to set something up. I was trying to set something up on another device, but but I was trying to link it to my phone, and it sent me the two-factor authentication code to YouTube, which I'd never seen before. I'd never had that happen before. So on my phone, I had to go into YouTube, and the minute I opened YouTube, it showed me my 6-digit code that I needed to enter on the other device. But I had never seen that before. So
This is Sri.
they're doing different things with two-factor authentication now.
All right. Okay, Sri, quickly.
Yeah, so basically Google's doing the two-factor authentication with YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
This is Herbie, real quick.
Okay, Herbie, go.
Another advantage why you might want to actually start using Face ID and Touch ID, though, is Apple is coming out with a new way where you only need those particular methods to log into sites. You won't necessarily need a password, and that is something new that they're coming out with iOS 16. So it may actually be a new standard form of authentication rather than the old-fashioned password. And the reason for this is because, if you've seen the news, a lot of sites have data leaks and stuff like that. So this is an interesting way around it. So now would be definitely a good time to really consider getting into those methods, because it may actually be the way of the future. We'll see. I'm not trying to say, definite, but this is what Apple is definitely trying to push towards. So.
All right, good. That's the end of that topic. Okay, moving on. Who's got a new question?
Michael.
Yes, sir.
So I've got a, what do you call this thing? Apple Watch cellular. And so I can take a phone call, right, on it. And I thought that was the way, if I wanted to, well, I don't know if it's called handoff or not, but transfer it to my iPhone and start using the iPhone?
Is that your
Anybody know?
question? So you're trying to find out how to transfer the call from the Apple Watch to the iPhone?
From the Apple Watch to the iPhone.
All right. Yes. Who would like to help Mr. McCulloch out? Somebody with an iPhone? Somebody hasn't had a turn, participated?
This is Herbie.
Okay, go ahead, Herbie.
So I'm assuming it works the same way on the cellular model, but on mine, there's, if you touch like the top of the screen, it'll say like call in progress with blah blah blah, and if you double tap that on the iPhone, then it transfers the call from the watch to the iPhone.
All right, very good. There you go, Mr. McCulloch. Hope that helps. Okay, next question. Who's got a new question?
This is Joe.
Joe, go ahead.
Okay, I'm still working on the idea of being able to put text onto notes or someplace else on it. And I tried the 3-finger quadruple tap. I get it copied, but how do I do the paste bit? What's the gesture for that?
Oh, what a great question. And who would like to help Joe out? Somebody who hasn't had a turn, want to help Joe out? How to paste something into text. Pretty
This is
simple.
Helene.
Helene, go ahead.
I don't 100% sure, but I think you go into the rotor and then you edit, and there's copy and paste.
Beautiful, Helene. Helene's one of our mentees.
Way to go.
And way to go, Jody and Helene. All right, that's what
All
it's
right.
all about.
This is
Joe.
Joe.
Go ahead, Joe.
All right. I did try that also instead of using the 3-finger quadruple tap, and I got down to that. But then how do I select material? How do I, selecting it.
Okay, so wait. So you already tried the 3-finger quadruple tap for
Yeah.
selecting text, and did that work or not work?
No, well, no, because I needed to paste it into something after I copied it.
Okay,
So I did go down like Helene was saying, and went into the rotor and pulled up edit and got into copy. Now, when I got into copy, I needed to select the amount of the text that I'm using.
Okay, well,
And then-
here's, yes.
Yes. And then being able to select where I'm putting it.
Okay, so here's the deal. So you are going to go to the place that, wherever this text is that you want to copy.
Yes.
And you're going to do that. You can there are different ways you can select the text, but you can, whatever method you decide to use, select the text first. All right. And once you've got it selected, then you need to copy it. So that's where you go to the rotor, like Helene was explaining, go to the rotor, copy, and then you've got to go to the place where you want to put the text. So you may have to switch apps, or if you want to go to notes or wherever it is that you want to put this text, right? Yeah. And then you're in a text field. You have to get to the rotor again and pick paste. So there are several steps here, but I don't know how many of those you got through, or I hope that helps.
This is Joe.
Yes.
Up to the part of doing the selecting part. How did you select the text?
Okay, so the select, would somebody like to explain how to select text?
This is Herbie.
Okay, I'm gonna give somebody else a turn. Go ahead, Terry.
If you go to your rotor, there is an option, if it is in your rotor, to select text. But it has to be, you have to put it in your rotor. It's just not going to be there automatically. But if you go to, if you've put it in there from settings on your phone, then you go to that select text and you can swipe up and down to determine whether you're selecting character by character, word by word, line by line, page, whatever, or select all. And then you swipe to your right, and the text that you want to select has to be in focus. So however you've chosen to select your text, however much text you've chosen to select with each swipe, you select that, and then you turn your rotor till you get to the edit field again, and you swipe up or down either way till you get to copy.
Yeah.
And then you go to the app or the place where you want to paste it. And then you probably have to go back to the edit field again, because it will switch probably. And you go to paste.
Okay.
And you paste it in there. But the other thing, when you did the, 3-finger quadruple tap, and you've copied your text to your clipboard, then in theory, all you should have to do is again go to that edit field and go to paste. You don't have to go to copy because you've already, with that 3-finger quadruple tap, you've copied that text, whatever the last text is that VoiceOver said to you, you've already copied it. So you've saved yourself that step, because I understood you to say that when you went to your rotor, you went to copy, but you don't need to do that. And if you've selected copy again, it probably undid what you copied with your 3-finger quadruple tap.
All right, very good, Terry Ann. Okay, Joe, you may have to try it out and let us know how it works.
I will next week. Thank you.
This is
Okay,
David.
yeah.
Real quick. Oh,
All right, we're moving on. Okay. All right.
Glenda.
Who's Melinda? Go ahead.
If you go into notes, you need to pick new note before you can, paste it. So it will put it in a new note.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay.
this is Herbie real quick about the copy, the 3-finger quadruple tap copy.
Go ahead quickly.
So you asked the question about selecting text. So the way it actually works, the quadruple tap works, is it selects what VoiceOver hears. So if you are on a line of text or whatever and VoiceOver sees it, once you do that 3-finger quadruple tap, it copies that block that VoiceOver would hear, and then you just go to your rotor in the new note or whatever, and you go to the edit rotor and you go down to paste like Helene described. But I just wanted to clarify how the selecting works with that particular method. Otherwise, there's more in-depth versions of copying and pasting. But basically, so like say if I'm reading a phone number and I want it copied, VoiceOver would hover over the phone number and it would start saying 832 blah blah blah, and that's the text I want selected. So then I don't do anything, it's because I've just done my normal swiping. Then I do my quadruple tap, then app switcher, go to notes or wherever, and use the rotor to make sure I'm able to edit, use the rotor to go to edit, swipe down to paste or up, depending, it doesn't matter. Eventually, but you look for paste, you do your 1-finger double tap and it'll paste what that quadruple tap saw.
Okay, very good.
Hopefully
Thank
that makes sense.
you. Yes. All right. Okay. Who's next? New question. Somebody new?
This is David.
David, go.
This was something I heard about the new iOS for AirPod and Beats headphone users. You're going to get a new option in settings where you can access the settings and not have to go into the Bluetooth like we have to now, and go into that kind of awkward method to do any kind of changes to your settings.
So you're going to be able to access the firmware in the Bluetooth of the.
There'll be when you go to settings, there'll be if the headphones are connected, there'll be a separate heading, main section in settings. There'll be for your AirPods or Beats.
Ah, okay.
I think it's going to be near the top, kind of like near where the Wi-Fi is, all that, easily findable.
Findable. I like that word, David. Findable. Good. Okay. Well, that's good. There's going to be lots of good stuff.
Oh, another thing. One place I go to look for Apple News when these things come out is I have this app I've had for years called MacHash, and I'd say for at least 10 years, and they keep updating it. But basically, it aggregates stories from the different news outlets that cover Apple, and you just open up the app and it has all the headlines there. And if you want to read the full details, you go in and it gives you a link to the article. I find it's a pretty easy way to catch up with these these big announcement days without having to listen to those monotonous, very boring 2 or 3 hour, sometimes those keynote things, but
Mac hash,
yeah,
M-A-C-H-A-S-A?
Mac hash. I think it's 2 words.
Oh, 2 words.
Mac space hash, or yeah.
All right. Yes, you've been talking about that app, and what's the other one? Pacific.
Pacifica, yeah.
Pacifica.
They got rid of my specular, so I can't talk about that one anymore.
Okay, well, at least you're consistent, David. Thank you very much. All right, thank you, David. That's a great point. Okay, all right, who's next? Somebody new? Question, comment, quickly.
This is Ned.
Ned, go.
Yes, this is a voiceover question regarding speaking rate. When I go to increase the rate, it goes up in increments of 10, which then it's going too fast. So I want it to go up maybe 5. How do I do that?
Okay, who would like to help Ned out? Slow down the speech.
This is Shri.
Shri.
Just on the slider, double tap and hold, and then slide left and right.
Okay, could you please repeat that, Shri?
Yeah, so on the slider, where you flick up and down to go in the 5. Instead of doing that, do it 1 finger double tap and hold, and then slide left and right. So you're kind of sliding the bar.
Okay, thank you.
This is Sandhya, just to follow. Does that principle apply to other sliders as well? Or
Most of them they do.
oh my goodness! Wow, why didn't you tell me that 10 years ago? Okay, thank you.
Should have asked 10 years ago.
I guess so. All right. Okay. All right. Who's next? Somebody. Oh, I heard somebody.
This is Terry.
Go, Terry, quick.
I sometimes, when I want to forward an email to someone, I will, but I want to put text above the actual forwarded email. Sometimes I can't, because if I want to dictate or even use the keyboard to write it, the edit field won't open. And this has just happened since I updated to iOS 15 point whatever we're at now. Has anybody else had that problem?
All right. Accessing the edit field in an email. Anybody?
That I want to forward.
Forward in a forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is
here.
Greg.
Greg, go.
Whenever I forward emails, I just go down to the bottom, the more actions, and then double tap on forward. And that just puts me automatically in the text area for the forwarded emails. So just enter text and hit send.
Okay. Different way to do it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Greg. All right. Good luck, Terry. All right. Who's next?
This is Jody.
Go, Jody.
When I want to change my speech speed, I use the rotor, and then that goes in smaller increments. But Shri, could you please repeat that on how to do it in the bar?
Shri, are you there? I think he's okay. Well, he may come back.
This is Jake. I know what he talks about.
Go ahead. Okay, Jake can explain it too. Go ahead, Jake.
He said to double hit tap and hold, and then move from right to left to decrease and increase by 5.
Okay, thank you.
Good job, Jake. Thank you, Jake.
And I have another question.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
It's about WWDC. It's just a quick one. Was there any mention of the actual phone application? If there was any improvements on that?
The phone application? Who uses the phone application, Jake?
I do.
I know, I'm kidding. Okay, anybody, our WWDC watchers, anything about the phone app?
This is Brad.
Brad?
I didn't hear anything about it. It just talked about iOS 16 in general. All the neat new stuff. There's nothing neat and new in the phone app. It just makes those boring phone calls. So I didn't mention it.
This is Herbie.
That's funny. Okay, go Herbie.
Yeah, the big thing is probably going to be handoff. We know it'll work with FaceTime. I don't know yet about phone calls or FaceTime audio calls, but that was probably the biggest thing when it came to actual the phone calls. But I
Okay.
agree with Sandhya. Who uses your phone for that?
I know, but good job, Dave.
This is
Yes,
Shri.
we do use phones. Okay, go Shri. We're gonna move on.
I'm just asking as a curiosity from a blind community, was there anything that said wow to us this year? Because a lot of stuff that I was listening to is more visual.
Okay, anybody? Wow. Anybody that hasn't spoken yet? Any opinions? Stuff you've heard
This is
from
Herbie.
Maria today? Hold on, Herbie. Anybody else?
This is Chanel. I
Go,
spoke
Chanel.
once earlier, but
Good.
I would say I would agree, not wow. I was very unimpressed myself. I think some of the Apple Watch health features are cool, but there really was nothing that, stood out to me as a voiceover user. I wonder how the advanced or enhanced dictation, well, I don't think that's what they called it, but how we will be able to have that interactive experience with dictation, because they were talking about people being able to just kind of like dictate and then type something and then dictate again. And I honestly, how that would work, wonder how that would work with voiceover. So I am not impressed either. And with that, I'm done.
All right. Chanel says, oh, wow. Anybody else?
This is Brad.
Brad.
Aren't we able to do that now? I type something, then I dictate, and then I type some more. I heard him talk about that, and I just didn't get it because I said that I didn't think that was new. I don't know.
Right. Yes, this is Sandhya. I know that I can use Siri and dictate with Siri and then go back and edit it. So I think I might talk about that in the future. But yes, we can do that already. All right. Okay.
This is Herbie, real quick.
Yes, go.
Yes, I know. From a voiceover perspective, there's some accessibility stuff that was not talked about that is going to come to the iPhone. From a regular for iPhone user perspective, I think there actually are some really interesting features that is coming to iOS, and we just have to see how they work with voiceover. The other thing I was going to say, though, is that if you are looking for voiceover changes, you should go look at some of the stuff that's being posted on AppleVis and decide if that's what you're really looking for. But I'd say, at least from a regular iPhone user perspective, I think there is some good stuff coming down the pipe.
Okay.
Like with unsend messages, that's going to be interesting. The handoff, that's going to be interesting. Stuff like that.
All right. Thank you, Herbie. All right. Next, anybody with a question? We're running out of time. Anybody else? Helene, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a question about way around. I purchased a bunch of NFC and way arounds, and I've been having a lot of difficulty. And I purchased buttons from way around that I wanted to put on clothes, and I was able to say what the thing is, but I couldn't adhere it to my clothing without being able to sew. Does anybody ever think of using Gorilla Glue on fabric? They say it can be washed, and then I can put the button that I've already programmed to say, what color it is and what it is, and put that button somewhere on the shirt. And then
This is Maria.
Maria, go.
So it depends on which button you have. If you have the ones that have the tiny little holes, like the round buttons, those are more designed to be sewn. If you purchase the ones that are like the more oval buttons that have like a little semicircle opening in them, like almost like a smiley face, those are ones that I use on clothes, and those you can just put like a safety pin through and put them somewhere where they're kind of like non-conspicuous, but they can like go in the wash and in the freezer and stuff as well, like so they can have the higher temp changes too. So it sounds like maybe you should try those other buttons and just use like the safety pins.
Okay,
Can
go
you
ahead,
say
Helene.
what those buttons
They're
are?
called the oval hole buttons, I believe is what they are called. I'd have to look it up. Let me see if I can quickly find, because I know exactly.
Oh gosh, sorry. Go ahead, Helene.
Would it work with the glue, the Gorilla Glue that I just ordered today?
Oh, I have no clue. I've never used it with the glue. You might want to ask way around with. Oh, so you were thinking of using the Gorilla Glue with the round buttons.
Yes.
I see. That is an interesting. I don't know. I've never heard of anyone doing that. So, but
I'll
the
let you know.
buttons, yeah, the buttons that I am thinking of. Let me see. The ones that you got, they call them the 2-hole buttons are the ones that you have, and the ones that I was saying that you can use the safety pins with, or they're called oval hole buttons.
Oval hole. Wow.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I would be careful about Gorilla Glue on clothes, but
I
don't
know that are going to go in the wash and like be exposed to heat. I'd be a little nervous.
Yeah.
too.
Okay. So there you go. Good question, Helene. Good question, everybody. Okay. Thank you, Maria, for helping me facilitate tonight.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. We're worn out here. Okay. So what do we have going on? Thank you to everybody for helping participate with the questions and answers and summaries. And thank you, Herbie and Shree and Brad and all the others. Okay. Can't thank everybody, but mainly we appreciate the new callers. Thanks for hanging in there. We hope we learned something, and we keep on learning. There's so much to learn. And so real quick recap of this week's events. Tomorrow is iBUG Mac Buzz on the Clubhouse. And then that'll be from 5 to 6. Then Thursday is what? Thursday is the book club reading I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings, 6:30 to 7:30 on Zoom, this same Zoom conference line. And then Friday is the movie Sting audio described starting at 8, social time starting at 7:30. Then iBUG Cafe, when we talk about Facebook in depth. Okay, that'll be 4 to 6 on Sunday. So on Zoom as well. Lots of good information. We hope you'll just check out the website. That's the best place to get information. And with that, we will wish you well and have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.